To see my exclusive content, visit ChrissyVIP at ChrissyOnline.com and be sure to join the mailing list for updates on future videos. The links are in the description box. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching. So I just did a live stream on the Eboni K. Williams, Iyanla Vanzant interview. I won't be repeating a lot of what I said in that video, so if you haven't seen it and you want to hear my thoughts, go check it out. In this video, I want to give some quick additional thoughts on the conversation about Eboni's ex-fiance, who is a white man. And I want to talk about how the fake pro-blacks and hoteps are using her relationship with him to invalidate her pro-blackness. And I want to use this situation to give some advice to Black women who are in interracial relationships or want to be. So after Eboni told Iyanla that she would only date a bus driver if he owned the bus, and she got dragged all over the internet by Black people, especially Black men, she took the pro-Black angle in her response to the backlash, and she basically said that she believes in Black liberation and the excellence of Black men, and average is not good enough for her, and she doesn't believe it's good enough for the collective of Black people. And she also said that Black Americans have been conditioned by white supremacy to accept being in the permanent underclass, and she said that she has dedicated her life to the liberation of Black people. She apparently wrote an entire book about it. And she not only shared these sentiments on her platform on the Griot, but on the Breakfast Club as well. And this, of course, caused Black men to have even more of a meltdown than they already were having. And like I said in the last video, this whole conversation is just ridiculous to me, considering the fact that Black men are the main ones defending their right to have a preference, and how they consistently show and say to Black women in the worst ways that Black women aren't good enough for them. They also have a checklist of superficial criteria for women that they're dating. But the minute they aren't the preference of a Black woman, especially if the woman is their type phenotypically like Eboni, then suddenly she should choose solely based on character, and nothing else should matter when dating a person. Finances shouldn't matter. And if she dares to prioritize money when choosing who to date, the entire community will go ballistic. Yet the same community constantly tells Black women they should choose better. But when Black women actually do that or attempt to do that, then our standards are too high. It really is sick the way this community sends all of these mixed messages to Black women and girls. And honestly, that is why I do these videos, to put a different narrative out there. So after Eboni's response, DJ Envy, Umar Johnson, and many other Black men and their female pick-me's questioned how Eboni could be so pro-Black and for the liberation of Black people and Black men if her last relationship was with a white man. And, you know, I find that quite interesting, because anytime we as Black women have brought up how Black men, from civil rights activists to pro-Black philanthropists to today's pro-Black public figures, whenever we've pointed out that many of them talk Black and sleep white or with non-Black women, we've always been told that who these supposed pro-Black men sleep with doesn't matter. And the only thing that matters is how they serve and contribute to the Black community. Black women have been told literally for decades that it's possible for Black men to date, to marry, to procreate with white women and non-Black women, and still very much be pro-Black and fight for the liberation of Black people. Yet when it's a Black woman who dates or marries interracially, suddenly it's not possible to do both. Suddenly said woman is a traitor to the race. She's a hypocrite. She's not genuine. She doesn't really care about Black men or the liberation of Black people. Meanwhile, online, even today, we see many red pill Black men and women talking about white supremacy, talking about race loyalty, talking about community building one minute, and then talking about how they get in their passports to go get foreign non-Black women the next, or defending their right to date out. There is absolutely no consistency. And see, this sort of glaring double standard is one of the many reasons reasons why it just doesn't serve Black women to be pro-Black. It just does not serve Black women to, as Eboni said, dedicate our lives to trying to liberate Black people. And that is the lesson here that Eboni needs to learn, as well as other Black women who are with non-Black men especially. One, Black people don't want to be saved. The collective of Black men aren't interested in fixing the Black community. Black men may say one thing, but most of them are not interested in being exceptional or above average. So Eboni and anybody who thinks like her, you women are fighting a losing battle. Secondly, as Black women, you will always end up the sacrifice, because Black men's real agenda is a pro-Black man agenda where they benefit the most and wish to liberate themselves separate from Black women. And they don't follow their own pro-Black criteria or rules to be pro-Black. They want to freely jump in and out of pro-Blackness at their convenience. They want to date the rainbow. And if they're not doing that, they're choosing the darkest or the most unambiguous Black woman last, or not at all. And they're calling you masculine if you're fighting on the front lines for Black liberation, even though they encourage you to be there. They're calling you masculine for being independent, even though they're telling you to date down, pay half or more of the bills. They're telling you that they are the prize in the relationship. If you are feminine or trying to be traditionally feminine, they're shaming you for that. They're calling you lazy. They're calling you wannabe white women. They're telling you to lower your standards, but they're also telling you to choose better. Then they're telling all Black women that if we dare to date or marry out or don't choose a Black man to be with, then there's no possible way we can be pro-Black or for the liberation of Black people, and we're traitors and bedwenches. So ladies, there's no winning whether you stay in the community and you're pro-Black or you date and marry out and try to be pro-Black. Your contributions will never be good enough in the eyes of Black men at the end of the day, and you have way more to lose than Black men. So you can't do what they do when they date out and marry out. You can't keep one foot in the Black community, and to be honest, you shouldn't want to, because look how you're treated when you do. And for the people who are saying that Eboni does benefit from being pro-Black because Black men like Charlemagne are giving her a job and Black men are giving her a chance to speak on platforms like the Griot. Well, first of all, if you mule and mammy for Black men, they're going to reward you in some way for that. Okay, so that's not a surprise. Secondly, outside of getting paid and getting the exposure, is it really a benefit? Is it really a reward when she's being set up to be attacked by Black male identified women like Iyanla, being put on the Breakfast Club where she's subjecting herself to even more scrutiny by the backwards ass community that don't want Black women to have shit, don't think Black women are worthy of having shit, having useless conversations, all because they want Black women to lower their standards? The whole thing is a shit show. I think Eboni lost way more than she got out of this situation. She didn't gain anything from this, and neither did the collective of Black women. This just gives Black people, especially Black men, more opportunity to spread this false narrative about the collective of Black women when it's not the collective. It's their preference that they're mad at. It's not even the everyday Black woman that they're mad at, like I said in my last video. So it's like, yeah, okay, Black men put her on. They gave her a job. But look at the disrespect and the verbal abuse that she's dealing with. All for saying she doesn't want to date average at best men when those same men don't want to date average at best women. So it's like, I'm sorry, no paycheck, no raggedy, dusty Black male platform, the Breakfast Club, the Griot, whatever, is actually of benefit to Eboni or the collective of Black women if something like this can happen. If this is what working for Black men looks like, if this is what Black male leadership looks like, I don't want it. And I don't care who feels a way about what I just said, but that's how I see it. And that's why personally, if I were Eboni, I would have just left it at, I'm not trying to date down. I want a man on my level. The end. And that's if I said anything at all, because in my opinion, Eboni needs to move in silence. She needs to stop taking the bait when she's asked about her love life. She needs to burn the cape and stop trying to save Black people. It is a losing game. And I hope that's the lesson Eboni has learned, or that she'll learn in the future. And I hope other Black women who swirl or wish to swirl are taking notes. Look, we don't know all the reasons Eboni and her ex-fiance didn't work out, but I am willing to bet it had a lot to do with her being so occupied with trying to fix the Black community. And I don't know if this is Ebony's issue. I could be totally wrong, but I'm bringing it up because we unfortunately see this a lot with Black women who date and marry interracially. They still feel obligated to reach back and try to save the Black community because as Black women, we've been conditioned into believing it's our purpose in life to do so. And I just don't want any Black woman to be so occupied with that impossible task that they ruin good relationships that they may have with non-Black men. Ladies, most non-Black men, especially if they are high value, they don't want masculine SJW women who are overly concerned with trying to liberate Black men. One thing you don't see with most Black men is them being overly invested in Black issues in the Black community when they date or marry out. Even when they talk Black and sleep white, they usually ain't talking about how much they believe in the excellence of Black women and how much they want to fix Black women. They put most of their energy into helping other Black men, and they live their lives with their non-Black partners. So I encourage Black women to do the same if you are interracially dating. If you feeling hotep or feeling like you want to fight for a cause, let it be one that benefits Black women and girls the most. Black women got to learn to do what Black men and everyone else does and prioritize our plight. And that goes for Black women who swirl and who don't swirl. Like I said in the last video, I don't think Ebony's standards are the problem. I think it's her masculine personality and demeanor that turns off the type of man that she wants. And I know that may be hard for some of you to hear, but it's the truth. She is the type of woman that attracts dusty, effeminate, low-earning men that want to be taken care of, no matter the race, because she gives off a lot of masculine energy. So she's going to attract feminine men. And ladies, look, if you like feminine men, then go for it. But if you don't, you're going to have to be a traditionally feminine woman if you want a traditionally masculine man. So Ebony was right to seek advice on how to tap into her femininity and attract the man that she wants. But Iyanla was just the wrong person to ask. Iyanla gave her the answers that will keep her in her masculinity, not take her out. And that's what the entire Black community did with their response, trying to tell her to date way below her station and build with a man. And that is why I will continue to say that this community wants Black women to be masculine, because they masculinize Black women every chance they get. And then when we're too hard and too independent, then they say we're not feminine enough. And this is why you can't follow their instructions. You just kind of got to do you and stop muling for the Black community. And look, I know it's hard, Black women. I know it's hard because of the conditioning and also because we're Black too. It's normal to want the best for people who look like you. And also, I will acknowledge that Black woman activists have played a huge part in the advancement of Black people. So I do get having the desire to fix the collective and make a change. I had that desire too in the past. But when you realize that we've reached a point as a community where little to no progress is being made and we're just talking about what needs to be done instead of actually trying to implement the solutions, and you realize that we're just going in one big circle and Black women and girls are getting devoured in the process, that's when you come to the realization that it's not worth it. It's not worth it because you're dealing with a group of men that are impossible to work with for one reason or the other. You are wasting your time, Black women. And like I said in the last video, this isn't about me caping for Ebony or agreeing with everything she says. I am doing my commentary because of how this situation has made Black women as a whole a target. And I'm also doing it to point out Black men and the Black community's hypocrisy, lies, and double standards. And I can't stress enough to Black women how you really need to leave this pro-Black hotep social justice warring for the Black community at the door if you really want to level up and be hypergamous and date men of other races. Trust me, it's only going to put a lot of strain and pressure on your relationship, and you just might end up ruining a good thing. Again, I'm not saying that that is what happened with Ebony and her ex-fiance. I don't know that man. Maybe there was some issue with him. But I'm just saying I have heard stories about how Black women do fuck it up because they're so stuck in SJW mode instead of just living their lives. And this is not to say you can't participate in any activism or any social justice work or whatever, but just don't make it your entire life or make it the majority of where your focus is. Trust me, you'll make your life a lot easier when you just leave that shit behind or put it on the back burner. That is all I'm saying. So yeah, that's it. Make sure you check out my new online store, Chrissy VIP, at chrissyonline.com for my exclusive videos. I got some new stuff coming soon. That is all I have to say about this topic for now. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.